Мэри Шелли. Франкенштейн или современный Прометей. Уровень B2. Издательство Direct Media. 2026 год. Адаптированное под уровень английского языка B2 изложение классического произведения Франкенштейн or the Modern Prometheus. Книга входит в серию Easy Classics, где представлены известнейшие классические произведения британской и американской литературы в печатном, электронном виде и аудиоформате.
Preface. The story of Frankenstein is based on an idea that some scientists, like Dr. Darwin and writers in Germany, once believed could be possible. I do not think it is true, but I used it as the starting point for my novel. I did not want to write just another scary story with ghosts or magic. Instead, I wanted to explore something new and show strong human emotions, even if the story is impossible in real life. It creates a chance to talk about human feelings and actions in a powerful way. I tried to keep the characters realistic and true to human nature, even though the situation is imaginary. Great writers like Homer, Shakespeare, and Milton also mixed fantasy with human emotion in their works. And I followed their example. This story began as a way to entertain myself and my friends. At first, it was just a small project to try writing something new. But as I worked on it, I also started thinking about the message it might give to readers. I didn't want it to be like many modern novels that are too emotional or unrealistic. I wanted to show the importance of love in families and the value of being a good person. The main character has strong opinions, but they do not always reflect my own thoughts. Please don't think the story supports any one philosophy or idea. It is special to me that I started this story in the same place where most of it takes place, near Geneva, Switzerland. I spent the summer of 1816 there. The weather was cold and rainy, and we often sat by the fire reading German ghost stories. These stories inspired us to try writing our own. My friends never finished theirs, but this is the story I completed. Marlowe, September 1817. Introduction. The publishers of this novel asked me to write about how I got the idea for Frankenstein. I often hear the question, how did a young girl create such a scary story? I usually don't like to talk about myself in books, but since this is only a short note connected to my novel, I agreed. My parents were famous writers, so I started writing at a young age. As a child, I enjoyed writing stories during my free time. But more than writing, I loved dreaming while awake. I created imaginary worlds and people in my mind. These dreams were even more interesting to me than my stories. As a girl, I lived mostly in the countryside, especially near Dundee in Scotland. The place was wild and lonely, but I didn't feel sad. I liked being alone and imagining things. I often walked in nature and thought of new stories. Even if my writing style was simple back then, later, my life became busier. My husband wanted me to become a famous writer like my parents. He encouraged me to write, but I didn't feel ready. We were traveling a lot and had a family, so I had little time for writing. In the summer of 1816, we visited Switzerland. We stayed near Lord Byron. It was often rainy, so we spent a lot of time indoors. We read ghost stories together. Then Byron said, "Let's each write a ghost story." There were 4 of us, but only I finished my story. I wanted to write a story that would truly scare people. I tried many times, but no idea came to me. Then one night, I had a waking dream. I imagined a student kneeling next to the body he had made from different parts. Suddenly, this man moved. It was horrible. The student was terrified of what he had created. I woke up frightened, but then I thought, if this image scared me, maybe it would scare others too. That's how I began writing Frankenstein. At first, I thought it would be a short story, but my husband encouraged me to write more. Now, many years later, I still care about this book. It reminds me of happy times when I was young and with someone I loved very much. I made some small changes to the style, but the story is the same. Mary Shelley, October 15th, 1831.
Letter 1. To Mrs. Saville, England. St. Petersburg, December 11th. Dear Sister, you will be happy to know that I arrived safely in St. Petersburg and that everything is going well with my journey. I feel more and more sure that I will succeed. Here, in the north, I feel the cold air on my face. It gives me energy and makes me feel alive. This wind comes from the direction I am going, and it makes me dream even more about the Arctic. Some people think it is only a place of ice and death, but I imagine it as beautiful and full of wonder. The sun never sets there, and the sky is always light. I hope to find new places that no one has seen before. I also want to learn about the secrets of the magnet, which helps ships find direction. Maybe I will discover something that will help all people in the future. This dream started when I was a child. I read stories about explorers in our uncle's library. My education was not the best, but I loved reading. These stories made me sad, because I was not allowed to become a sailor. Later, I wanted to be a poet, but I failed. When I got money from a relative, I returned to my dream of exploration. For the last 6 years, I have prepared for this journey. I trained my body by traveling with whale hunters. I suffered cold, hunger, and hard work. I also studied science and math to help me on this trip. Twice I worked on a whaling ship and did so well that the captain wanted me to stay. Now, dear Margaret, don't you think I deserve success? I could have had an easy life, but I chose adventure. Still, I feel nervous. This journey will be long and hard, and I must be strong not only for myself but for my crew. I plan to leave for Archangel in a few weeks. There, I will find a ship and hire sailors. We will not sail until June. When will I return? If I succeed, it may be years. If I fail, you may never see me again. Farewell, my dear sister. May heaven bless you and keep me safe. Your loving brother, R. Walton. Letter 2. To Mrs. Saville, England. Archangel, March 28th, 17. Dear Margaret, time moves slowly here, surrounded by snow and ice. But I have taken another step toward my goal. I have found a ship and started hiring sailors. They seem brave and ready for this journey. but I feel something is missing. I don't have a close friend. If I succeed, I have no one to share my happiness. If I fail, no one will comfort me. Writing to you helps, but it's not the same as having someone beside me. I wish I had a friend who understood me, someone brave and smart who could help me improve and support me. I think I need this more because I didn't go to school like others. I learned by myself. When I was young, I read only books about sea voyages. Later, I discovered poetry, but it was too late to get a full education. Now I'm 28 years old and I know less than many schoolboys. I have big ideas, but they are not always balanced. I need a friend who won't laugh at me, but will help guide me. Still, there are some good people around me. One is my lieutenant. He is very brave and wants to rise in his career. He is rough but honest and full of strong character. The captain is kind and respected. He believes that sailors should be treated well, not cruelly. I admire him. He once loved a girl, but she loved someone else. He gave all his money to her and her true love and asked her father to let them marry. The father refused, so the captain left his country. He only returned after she married the man she loved. Isn't that noble? Even though I miss having a true friend, I am still sure about my plans. I will wait for better weather to sail. The spring is coming early, so I hope to leave soon. I can't describe how I feel about this adventure. It is exciting and scary at the same time. I am going to a place few people have seen. But don't worry, I won't do anything foolish. You know I will take care of myself and others. Your loving brother, Robert Walton. Letter 3. To Mrs. Saville, England. July 7th, 17. Dear sister, I write these few lines quickly to tell you that I am safe. Our ship is moving well on its way. This letter will reach England with a merchant ship returning home. I, however, may not see England for a long time. Maybe for years. I feel happy and excited. My crew is brave and ready. We often see large pieces of ice floating by, which shows us how dangerous this place is. But the men are not afraid. We have come very far north. It is summer here, and although it's not warm like in England, the winds help us move fast toward the land I want to explore. These winds are not cold like I expected. They are even refreshing. So far, nothing special has happened. Only some strong winds and a small leak in the ship. But these are normal and nothing to worry about. Goodbye, my dear Margaret. I promise to stay safe. For your sake and mine. I will be careful and not take foolish risks. Your loving brother, R.W. Letter 4. To Mrs. Saville, England. August 5th, 17th. Dear sister, something strange happened, and I must tell you about it. Even though you may see me before this letter arrives. On July 31st, we were surrounded by ice. The ship could hardly move. There was also thick fog. We stayed still and waited for the weather to change. At around 2 o'clock, the fog cleared. We saw ice stretching in all directions. It looked endless. Suddenly, we saw a sled pulled by dogs. A very tall man was riding it. We watched him with our telescope until he disappeared into the distance. 2 hours later, the ice broke and we were free. But we didn't move until morning because it was too dangerous at night. In the morning, the sailors saw something on a piece of ice floating near the ship. It was another sled, like the first one. Only one dog was still alive. Inside the sled there was a man. He was almost frozen and very weak. We brought him onto the ship. He spoke English but with a foreign accent. Before coming aboard, he asked where we were going. I told him we were on a voyage to the North Pole. That made him agree to come on board. He was in terrible condition. We gave him brandy and soup and wrapped him in blankets. He needed 2 days to recover a little. Then I moved him to my cabin. This man is very interesting. He's often sad and quiet, but sometimes when someone is kind to him, his face becomes warm and gentle. Still, he is full of sorrow. He once said he is chasing someone who ran away from him. When we told him about the tall man we saw earlier, he asked many questions. He calls this person the demon. He wants to tell me his story. He says it is a warning for me because I have the same passion for discovery. I promise to listen. I will write down what he tells me as closely as I can. Your loving brother, Robert Walton.